Good evening, race fans. Hello and welcome to Slovakia. This is Slovakia Ring. This is the Grand Prix of Slovakia, and this is the most prestigious weekend for all Slovakian racing fans and for all the Slovakian racing drivers, because this is the biggest weekend of car racing, of sports car racing here in Slovakia. This is GT Cup Series, the FIA Central European Zone Championship, and we are just ahead of the 1 hour endurance race. Well, including this one, still 3 races left in 2026 season. After this 1 hour endurance race, we have 2 more in Brno and also on Hungaroring for the season final. And well, I don't say the situation is clear, but we can decide one of those titles already today in GTX class. The title can be decided today at the end of this race, and it looks very, very good for the crew of Mraz and Honzik, but we will talk about it later during our coverage itself. Right now, let's be focused on the starting grid, because here on Slovakia Ring, close to Orechová, Potôň, not so far away from Dunajská Streda or Bratislava, we do have actually 40 cars on the starting grid for this final showdown of Saturday. It already has been a great day of racing here on Slovakia Ring, and again we are going to watch the great battle between also LMP3 cars into the first corner here on Slovakia Ring. Of course, ever-present Miro Konopka will be once again starting from the front row behind the wheel of his beautiful bright yellow Ligier LMP3 car. Well, those cars are originally from Le Mans Cup and also from the Asian Le Mans series and so on, but they are also allowed to be here within the D5 class for the GT Cup series, which means they are also allowed for the Central European Zone Championship, and we are here racing for the Central European Zone Championship titles. So those are the best cars you can see on the grid, or the quickest car you can see on the grid for the Grand Prix of Slovakia if we speak about this Central European Zone Championship. Again, Miro Konopka with his guest, with his family and friends on the grid, because this is his home soil, this is his home race, of course, and this is the Slovakian Mr. Le Mans himself, ladies and gentlemen, Miro Konopka. Well, Miro, right now it is going to be 1 hour solo drive with this beauty, this LMP3 car with this screaming V8 engine. How excited are you?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic pool. I never remember 38 car on the pool, 5 prototype, 3 LMP3. I think fantastic race will be.
Well, this time, for the start of a sprint race, alongside you there was with the Lamborghini. Right now it will be you against another LMP3 car. Well, it may be more interesting. What do you think?
I think after, in end of first curve, will be before us a Lamborghini, Mercedes, maybe also BMW, because this car has 200 horsepower more, and in the straight is every time acceleration is better. But after race we will see. It's 1 hour, it's a long time, we will see.
How difficult it is for you actually, because it's 1 hour long drive in a race pace, 6 kilometers long race track, 4 horizons. So how difficult it is actually?
I like drive. It's every time drive alone. I think it's okay. It's nice, and for me it's better if run alone, because I like, if I am here, run a lot.
Thank you so much, Miro. Well, good luck for the race. See you after the race. Thank you so much. So this is the local hero, the home hero, Miro Konopka. Multiple starts in Le Mans 24 hours, also on Sebring, also in the FIA World Endurance Championship, also in the Asian Le Mans series. This is maybe the most experienced guy on the racing, on the starting grid, excuse me. But as Miro said, we do have almost 40 cars on the grid for this 1 hour endurance GT Cup Series race, including 3 LMP3 prototypes. 2 of those are starting from the front row. The third one is over here, the white colors of the Polish racing team Aquaflame. So we are going to be also very curious about the fight for the D5 class win, because finally we do have more than one LMP3 car on the grid, which is amazing. Yes, Miro mentioned this car. Always great to see. Always great to see Mercedes AMG GT3 on a starting grid in this Central European Zone area, because I mean, this car just has absolutely amazing sound of the engine. And let's also have something a bit older. BMW M6 GT3, starting also the race in the famous colors of Racing Trevor, of course. And I believe that one of those familiar faces of Denis Vašek will be also taking part in the race, because Denis is just standing here. You will be taking part in the race this time, Denis?
Yeah, the second part. I will take the second part, just see starting, and
Yes.
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
It's the old M6. I mean, old but good, right?
Yeah, all about gold. I mean, the other GT3 cars are newer, definitely, so it will be a tough one with the tire management mainly, but we'll have fun.
Lovely. We do have former BMW factory driver Jesse Krohn. Jesse, you know this car very well. You are the former factory BMW driver. M6 GT3, I said to Denis, old but good, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to be an old lady. It's fun to drive. It brings back good memories, but I think it's might not be the most competitive car out here. But me and Dennis try to make the most of it.
You must be the most competitive in this case. Thank you so much, Jesse. Have a good race. Thank you so much. So this was Jesse Krohn, ladies and gentlemen. This is amazing racing crew. As I said previously, Jesse Krohn, he used to be a BMW factory driver. He has so much experience driving those cars around, not only in the Central European Zone area, but around the most famous racing circuits all around the world, including WEC, IMSA, Le Mans 24 Hours, and anything. Wow! Another GT3 over there, and that's another car, of course, of Konopka family, Adam Konopka behind the wheel with this beautiful Huracan GT3, and this is going to be, I believe, battle within the GTX class. We are going to talk about it later. Well, the grid is being cleared at the moment. As we said, almost 40 cars ready for 1 hour long endurance race of GT Cup Series within the FIA Central European Zone Championship here on Slovakia Ring. Let's get excited, let's enjoy this, and I'll be joining you a few moments later from my commentary box. Thank you so much. So one more time, good evening, race fans. Welcome wherever from around the world you are joining us live right now. This is going to be the great ending of Racing Saturday here on Slovakia Ring. We are starting our coverage with some issues. It must be spoken because, as you can see, the only BMW M8 GTE car that has ever been racing without those factory cars is facing some technical issues, and it is already entering the pit lane for some reason. So we are down one beautiful car, which of course is very, very disappointing because BMW M8 is absolutely breathtaking. I believe this car has so many fans from all around the world, from the FIA World Endurance Championship and also from the IMSA Veritech Sports Car Championship. This car has won Rolex 24 at Daytona twice actually, and for the first time ever it is racing not under BMW factory racing banner here in GT Cup Series. Again, big thanks to Gregor Shigo and his team Trevor Racing, because all credits actually for this achievement goes to them, but it seems to me that in this race, unfortunately, we are not going to watch this beautiful piece of machine. I mean, a BMW M8, we witnessed the car also in Must, and it was one of the most photographed cars on the racetrack because it is simply amazing. Okay, anyway, we need to talk about the race itself because, as I said on the starting grid, it is quite possible that one of those titles will be clinched today because Jaroslav Honzik and Viktor Mraz has a good chance of securing the title in GTX class after this race already, even though we still have 2 more races to go in Brno and also on Hungaroring in the middle of October. So this is a very, very important race for the RTR projects and this racing crew of Jaroslav Honzik and Viktor Mraz. So, well, the condition is, after this weekend, they have to have a larger gap than 50 points in GTX class standings. Otherwise, the title game will be still open. The race will be starting in few moments. So here we are, getting ready for the flying start of the 1 hour endurance race so far this season. Miro Konopka has been the quickest in the endurance races, but not always winning actually. He had some technical issues in Most, which was the 4th round. So he only took 9 points into the standings of D5 classification, and this time this is the most competitive field in D5 class this season. As you can see, almost 40 cars on the grid. We are minus M8 GTE, which is quite disappointing, but still we do have 3 LMP3 cars leading the way into the first corner. So let's get ready, let's take a deep breath, and we are ready to start the 1 hour endurance race here on Slovakia Ring. This is the final showdown of Saturday here on Slovakia Ring, and we go green, 4 white already into the first corner, and it should be, I believe, Adam Konopka behind the wheel of the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo. No, it's Huracan GT3 starting in the GTX class, and this was amazing starting reaction shown by Adam Konopka, the youngest son of Miro Konopka, takes the lead immediately at the beginning of the 1 hour endurance race. So this was absolutely mesmerizing start done by Adam Konopka, who is your new race leader right now. Adam Konopka leads the way just after the start of the race behind the wheel of this bright yellow Lamborghini Huracan GT3. Well, I'm still racing with Huracan GT3. That's the best option for ARC Bratislava, as Miro Konopka is not absolutely happy with the new Temerario, but let's wait and see what the future holds also for ARC Bratislava. with so many new cars coming onto the market, including the new LMP2 cars starting in 2028. So let's wait and see what's the future for ARC Bratislava. But immediately some great battles between Miro Konopka, the father of Adam, who is there behind the wheel of his Ligier LMP3 car, and he is doing absolutely everything he can to keep those two white Ligiers behind him. One of the two Ligiers is the new generation with the V6 turbo engine car, or the V6 turbocharged engine. But as you can hear right now, the V8, the older V8, is still screaming from the yellow Ligier being driven by Miro. And right now the temperature in the tires is rising, which means Miro Konopka will be trying to attack his son Adam Konopka, maybe on the main straight of Slovakia Ring. And this is the amazing endurance racing traffic as we like it. Of course, this is a very special weekend for endurance racing fans, as we also are going to watch the next race of the European Le Mans Series, which is going to take place in Spa-Francorchamps, Belgium tomorrow. But right now we are focused on this race, on this 1 hour endurance race here on Slovakia Ring. There are some battles in GTX class between those two KTMs, and also a lot of Porsche Cup cars racing each other, while those two classes are the most occupied on Slovakia Ring. Actually, we have so many drivers doing this race in D4 class. I mean, in GTC class, which is reserved mostly for the Porsche Cup cars. So this is very, very good for the fans, as they can see so many drivers racing each other within the GTC class, which is going to be, I believe, the most competitive here around the racetrack. And right now you can see that Miro Konopka is already in the lead. He overtook his son Adam Konopka behind the wheel of the Lamborghini. So Miro Konopka back in the lead after a great start done by Adam. Well, that was actually really, really brave. And I know that Adam, he had to overcome some difficulties, because previously in his career he had a bad crash with Huracan GT3 on Yas Marina during the Gulf 12 hours, but he is gaining more and more experience, and he's becoming actually better and quicker driver by every other race he takes part in. So good job done here by Adam Konopka. He was bold, he was brave, but he was not crazy. He just started the race really, really well, and he took the first place when he could. So good job done by Adam Konopka, who is now in second place overall. But more importantly for Adam Konopka, he is leading the race in GTX class, and this is the crucial thing. You know, this is the 1 hour endurance race with mandatory pit stop halfway, and Adam Konopka is doing everything he can to build a large gap between him and the rest of the GTX field. So he is going to rejoin the first place also after the mandatory pit stop at the halfway. So good job done already by Adam Konopka, who is there very safe in the first place of GTX class. Plus right now he is doing everything he possibly can do to protect his father from those two white Ligiers, because I mean, those two white Ligiers LMP3 cars are also racing against Miro Konopka in D5 class for the D5 class victory. But right now Adam Konopka is there. He is slowing both white Ligiers down, and Miro Konopka meanwhile is pulling away, and he's building larger and larger gap between him and the rest of the field, especially between him and the rest of the D5 field. Position switch between those two LMP3 cars. If those cars of the number 33 are a bit familiar to you, yes, you saw them already racing under the banner of Breton Racing, the Czech team being run by Dan Skočdopole. This Czech team is fighting for the championship title in Le Mans Cup this weekend in Spa-Francorchamps. So another very important race weekend for Czech motorsport, not taking place only here in Slovakia, but also in Belgium, where the another round of European Le Mans Series, Le Mans Cup, is taking place right now. So let's be focused on the race here in Slovakia. It is still Konopka family leading the way with Miro in first place. Then it is Adam in P2, and Adam is doing just wonderful job. But we are not in the traffic yet. I mean, of course, this is long race, and Miro Konopka will be chasing down those slower cars at the end of the grid, at the end of the field, very quickly. So we are going to have some crucial moments, some dramatic moments in a few minutes from now, because every time you chase down the race traffic in the quicker car, there are dramas possible. Every time in the endurance racing, that's the law of this kind of motorsport. So in the other classes, if we take a look on the standings, Konopka leads D5, Adam Konopka leads GTX. In GT3 class, it is a first place for Jesse Krohn, driving the old BMW M6 GT3, and he's going to be replaced by Denis Vašek at the halfway of the race. Behind them, it's the front of the field of Porsche 4F Cup, of the Polish Cup, which is being led by Porsche number 15 at the moment. And here we are with one of those KTM Expo GT2 cars, also racing in a GTX class. I was talking about the possible title deciding moment which can take place here. It all depends on the racecraft being shown by Jaroslav Honzik and Viktor Mraz, because those two drivers can clinch the title tonight. We just have to wait and see how the race will go on. Number 33, Ligier of two Polish drivers starting in D5 class. Number 33, of course, being shared by Maciej Marcinkiewicz. And Filip Sterczewski. Right now, those two guys are in second place overall, and also in second place in a D5 class. The fastest lap of the race so far has been set by Miro Konopka, 1:58.7, and only those Ligier LMP3 cars are capable of doing the lap times under 2 minutes here on Slovakia Ring. So far so good for Miro Konopka, but there is no more protection for him from the side of his son Adam, as he has been already overtaken by both white Aquaflame Ligier cars. So it should be a proper fight for the D5 class victory between those three cars. Meanwhile, Konopka in P3 leading the way in GTX. Still first place for Jesse Kron and Denis Waszek, sharing the M6 GT3 car. The older BMW. Behind them, both first and second placed car in Porsche 4F Cup. And behind them, it's the rest of the GTX field. So the safest driver right now, I believe, is Adam Konopka, leading comfortably the GTX class, because between him and the driver in second place in GTX are other three cars. So this is a very good situation for young Adam Konopka on his home soil, doing very good job. This is the Norma of Janik Motorsport, being shared by Petr Koukala and Václav Janík himself. It's always great to see the team boss Václav Janík racing in the endurance race, and he's enjoying this so much, his chance to jump behind the wheel and race again. It is Norma M20 FC right now in 4th place in D5 class. I mean, it's enjoyable car, but they are a bit struggling with the pace here on Slovakia Ring. It's tough for Janik Motorsport to be there in contact with the other cars starting in D5, the other LMP3 cars. The other LMP3 Ligiers leading the way in 1st, 2nd and 3rd place respectively. But it's still great to see such a beautiful Norma in typical red and white colors under the banner of Janik Motorsport racing here around Slovakia Ring. Meanwhile, Miro Konopka up in the front, and the gap between him and his Polish opponent is being reduced by every single lap actually. Only 0.8 of a second between Konopka and the Ligier number 33 of Polish Team Aquaflame. So possibly we are going to watch a great battle for the first place, not only in D5 class, but also in the overall standings of the race. I mean, of course, we do not celebrate the overall winners here in GT Cup Series. We do not have a podium for the overall standings, but still, this can be very nice for the fans here on the grandstands. We do have so many fans on the grandstands for the Grand Prix of Slovakia. It's so great to see it. And this just could be a great reward for them to provide them with such a battle for the first place in D5 class, which is basically dominating the field of Central European Zone Championship of the GT Cup Series. Oh no! There is a spun for 91. This was a great battle within the GTC cars. The 91 of and bank on the tarmac, so that's important. Otherwise we would be facing the risk of safety car, but car is back on track and going again, so that was important. So after this dramatic moment, we are still green. No need for a safety car, no need for full course yellow, still racing. And good news for Slovakian fans actually, because Miro Konopka has pulled away again. The gap between him and the white Regia number 33 is actually 2 seconds, 2.7 seconds right now. So good job done by Miro Konopka again, as he set the fastest lap of the race so far, last lap around, 1:58.3 for Miro Konopka. So again, very good job done by the Slovakian racing legend. And Miro Konopka is pulling away again. Meanwhile, the Norma of Yannick Motorsport is again struggling in the traffic. We saw this also in the 25 minutes long sprint race, when there was Peter Kokkola trying to find his way in front of those GT Cup cars, but it's so hard actually for him. He is a bit quicker around the corners with the large downforce, but on the straight, as you can see now, as you can see here from above, those Cup cars are just much more quicker, so it's so hard for those drivers of Norma to overtake the Cup cars, which means they are being stuck in the traffic, and the race is not so enjoyable in those moments. But anyway, still the fight goes on, and the car being shared by Petr Kokkola and Václav Janík is actually in a P4 within the D5 class standings. And here is the front of the race. Miro Konopka behind the wheel of his number 44, which is the famous number for ARC Bratislava. Under this number we saw those yellow cars racing, for example, also in Le Mans. Number 44 is very much connected to the history of ARC Bratislava, and it's almost an iconic number for Miro Konopka and his team. It's a question whether we are going to watch Miro Konopka and his team also in the Asian Le Mans series again this season, because all the races on the calendar of the Asian Le Mans series are going to be much closer to Europe actually this year because of the international situation in the Middle East. We are not going to travel to Sepang, Dubai or Abu Dhabi, but the Asian Le Mans series will take place over the winter in Europe on circuits including Jerez, Portimao and Paul Ricard. So that's potentially good news for the race fans in Europe, as there will be more chances to watch hypercars in action in Europe over the winter. But I would love to see Miro Konopka being back on the grid for the Asian Le Mans series in winter, because still there is a chance of winning the automatical invitation for Le Mans 24 hours, and I believe that Miro still dreams about this race, still dreams about going back to Lassade and race there again. So just let's wait and see for the further confirmation of the next program of ARC Bratislava. It would be just so good to visit one of those Asian Le Mans series races over the winter, enjoy the hypercars on track, and also enjoy Miro Konopka and his teammates behind the wheel of LMP2 car. Not so far away from home, not so far away from Bratislava. Well, it's a good news, it's a huge news for the race fans in Europe that hypercars will be introduced into Asian Le Mans series for the first time, because we are awaiting a lot of announcements actually. We should have the Vanwall from Bike-Coles on the grid again. We should see Isotta Fraschini making the comeback into the world of racing after hiatus. Probably we should also see some older Peugeot 9X8 cars making comeback. Oh no, there is a problem. So stop talking about Asian Le Mans Series, stop talking about the future of the endurance racing in Europe, because we do have a problem here. This might be a puncture of the right front tire. I believe I am right, and we should discover right now, because the driver has entered the pit lane again. So most likely that was a puncture to that car, to the front right. And oh yes, it is the Sincar S1 GT. It's the special endurance racing prototype entered by the Bulgarian team AK Performance. Ivan Vlachkov from Bulgaria is sitting behind the wheel. Originally, it was meant to be a one-hour solo drive for Ivan Vlachkov, but right now the rest of the race is in danger for this Bulgarian squad as they are facing issues on the pit lane. Maybe it was not only a puncture to the front right, but maybe some other problem, possibly with suspension or with the brake disc. So keep your fingers crossed to this Bulgarian squad, because definitely we would love to see them finishing the race. And yes, the chance is here as Ivan Vlachkov is back on the track, so hopefully it was only a puncture and they will be able to finish the race. You also saw some drivers already getting ready for the pit stop, which means we are almost at the halfway of this one-hour endurance race of the GT Cup Series within the FIA Central European Zone Championship. Oh no! This Porsche apparently was in the gravel zone and now it's spreading the gravel across the racetrack, so potentially the racing line will be a bit dirty at some parts of the racetrack, but so far so good. It was an incident we didn't see in our live coverage, most likely a driver's mistake, but still on the green, and that's the good news for the drivers. And look at this, after a while the battle for the win in D5 class is on again. 1.5 seconds. That's the gap between Miro Konopka behind the wheel of his yellow Ligier number 44 and the Polish Ligier number 33. As you can see, the mandatory pit stops at the halfway of the race are just about to begin. As I said on the grid, Miro Konopka is doing a solo drive for this one-hour endurance race of the Grand Prix of Slovakia, but it doesn't mean he does not have to go for the pit stop. On the other hand, or on the contrary, shall I say, the mandatory pit stop is there for all the drivers, and there is a prescription of a minimum time for that pit stop, so it should be equal pit stop time for all the cars, all the drivers. Oh no, the problem is back. The problem is back for Ivan Vlachkov and his Sincar S1 GT. And again, we can see some white smoke coming most likely from the front right. So maybe there is a contact between the tire and the body kit, that's also possible. And this car will be going to the pit lane for the mandatory pit stop in a few minutes or in a few moments, so mechanics will have a chance to take a look at that. But right now this was a situation at the pit entry, because there was Adam Konopka entering the pit lane, and he was slowed down by the Cupra Leon TCR car. That was a close call in the pit entry, but fortunately Adam Konopka managed to slow down on time to avoid the contact between his Lamborghini and the TCR car. Meanwhile, also the Mercedes in the pit lane. That's the crew of 4FPTT Racing. Mercedes #1, beautiful car in beautiful green colors. And the racing crew of Przemysław Pienkowski and Mateusz Lisowski. So there was a driver change, and we are waiting for the second driver to rejoin the race with this beautiful car #1, and the other teams, the other cars are stopping for the pit stops, and the driver changes are underway. This is fourth racing by Atlas Ward, the racing crew of Piotr Szukalski and Christopher Zöchling, and their beautiful Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport. This is, by the way, the car with which Max Verstappen secured his driving license for Nordschleife and for 24-Stunden-Rennen am Nürburgring Nordschleife. So this is also a very good car for learning if you want to enter the level of GT racing. You should start with a car like that. It's great for learning, it's great for gaining the experience, and if you do, for example, one whole season with a GT4 car, then it is for you much more easier to switch for GT3. And this GT4 Club Sport, it's one of the most affordable cars for racing, so it's really good for young drivers or for beginning gentleman drivers to learn to race and to gain experience for the future achievements. So it's great to have one of those Cayman's GT4 on track on Slovakia Ring for this one hour endurance race. Well, 30 minutes to go. We are at the halfway, and after the pit stops are done, we can talk about the standings again. This is, of course, the second endurance race of the season here on Slovakia Ring, if we speak about GT Cup Series, because the first race here was the famous 3 hours long race. Which was actually won by 3 famous drivers. The 3 hours endurance won Antal Žigo, Moritz Kranz and David Jan, together sharing the BMW M4 GT3. So they scored 25 points. And it was great to watch actually those 3 drivers racing on Slovakian soil, because mostly you can see those 3 racing on Nordschleife in Langstreckens area. So it was pretty good to see those 3 drivers doing the home race of Antal Žigo, as he is partly Slovakian and partly Hungarian. But right now this is another race, another day. It's not for 3 hours, it's for 1 hour only, which is the classic format of endurance races within the GT Cup series. And those 3 drivers, Antal, Moritz and David, are not here present, which means the throne is empty. And we are still waiting if this guy is going to win the race in D5 class and also in the overall standings. Miro Konopka in the pit lane for his mandatory pit stop. His Ligier was refueled by the mechanic, and in a few moments Miro Konopka will be allowed to go again. Of course, we are also watching the white Ligier, both white Ligiers, of course, because Miro Konopka is fighting those 2 cars in the win for D5 class. A lot of spectators on the balcony or the terrace just above the pit lane. It's always great to watch the atmosphere, and you can see the passion of the fans here in Slovakia for endurance racing. You are watching the race from one of those various places, not only from the main grandstand, but also from the second grandstand, just above the first corner. You can watch the race from the general admission places, but for the pit stop you always go to pit lane and watch it from the terrace, because it's so exciting to see the work of the mechanics and those beautiful race cars from above. It's always great to be so close to those racing machines. 27 minutes to go, Miro Konopka back on the track, and I believe he should be still in the lead of the D5 class. Well, we are just waiting for the car number 33 to enter the pit lane, because I believe we did not see that pit stop yet. But anyway, I believe this is going to be an exciting second part of the race. With still 26 minutes to go, and here we have the BMW M6 GT3. That only means that the job of Jesse Krohn is done, and Jesse Krohn has been replaced by Denis Waszek in the pit lane. So Denis Waszek again on the racetrack. Denis Waszek back behind the wheel for the second time today. We were talking about him, and we were talking to him also before the sprint race earlier today, and now, as always, he is sharing the duties also for the endurance, and this time he created very quick racing duo, very quick racing pair together with Jesse Krohn, a former BMW factory driver. And yeah, I was talking to Jesse also last year in Brno, and he told me that he just loves to be busy, you know. He's the kind of guy who just loves driving, loves racing in any class with basically anything. He was also there behind the wheel of the BMW M8 for the 3 hours endurance. So it was a proud moment for Jesse, because he did a shakedown, you know, for Gregor Gigot with that beautiful car, which unfortunately is not in this race after some issues, but still it was a great moment. Meanwhile, we had a car off the track, but I believe the track is green again. I think it was one of those white Porsche GT4 club cars. This was the corner where the car went out into the gravel zone. But we are green again. Again, no reason to have safety car on track, so that's a good news, as the sun is coming down slowly behind the horizon. Well, the second part of the race, again, will be a bit complicated for the drivers on the main straight as the sun goes down, as I said. Here we can see the view of a race driver from the KTM Expo. The next corner will be to the right and over the horizon. This is the place. And if we stay behind the wheel with this KTM, you could possibly see how difficult it is. Yes, here is it. How difficult it is to drive in those conditions, because as the sun goes down over the horizon, you go basically just directly in front of the sun, and it shines straight into your eyes. So this is very, let's say, unpleasant moment for the drivers. You just have to watch the track. There is one simple rule: don't look to the sun, otherwise you are going to have a big problem. And this is, by the way, the important KTM I've been talking about, the KTM number 26 of Jaroslav Honzik and Viktor Mraz. Those two drivers are fighting for the championship title. They already have a decent gap between them and the others in GTX class, and the condition is, if the gap between them and the rest of the field is at last 50 points after this race, they are going to be crowned as the champions of Endurance Cup in GTX class already after this race, with second more races to go, so with 2 more races to go in 2026 season. So this is very important for the RTR Project KTM and for the drivers, because they are possibly be able to celebrate the championship title in the Endurance Cup in GTX class after this race. But just let's wait and see. The competition is really high here on Slovakia Ring, also in GTX class. Well, meanwhile, the pit stops are done, so let's check on the standings. Miro Konopka leads the way, and actually the situation after the pit stop is even better for him, as he holds a large gap between him and the number 10 Ligier of 10 seconds. Yes, 10 seconds between Konopka and the white Ligier number 10. So great situation for the home hero. Miro Konopka is just going after the home win in the 1 hour endurance race. Konopka leads the way with large gap of 11 seconds between him and a second place. The Ligier number 33 is in third place. So there was a switch of places after the pit stop, as number 33 drops down 1 place into third place. And Ligier number 10 gained 1 position, and this white Le Mans LMP3 car is in second place right now. Adam Konopka leads the way in the GTX class, and behind him it is Denis Vashek behind the wheel of the BMW M6 GT3. He told us on the grid that it's a bit old lady right now, the M6 GT3, but still very nice. The car is beautiful. Of course, the BMW. Oh, this was a harsh situation. Almost contact between the KTM and one of those cup cars, but fortunately it was managed by the driver. Of course, BMW has a new car for many seasons already. It's the BMW M4 GT3, which we also know from the GT Cup series, but mostly from the international racing scene, including DTM. But even more, that's the reason why it is so nice to see this old car back racing. The M6 GT3 has been favorite to so many fans all around the world, so again, big kudos to Racing Trevor and Gregor Shigo for bringing this car back to life and have it here on the grid for the 1 hour endurance race. If we speak about those older cars racing again, there was something I loved the most about this year's Nürburgring 24 hours, because you may remember that we had in the race the even older car Z4 GT3, one of the most fascinating GT3 cars ever built by BMW. And it brought back so many memories from the past, including the days when the team of Mark van der Straten has been entering those cars into the biggest endurance races across the whole Europe, including Spa 24 hours, Nürburgring 24 hours. So it was just lovely to see, because suddenly you have so many memories in your mind. And again, you are thinking of drivers like Markus Paultala, Augusto Farfus and the others. About those guys that were racing those cars 10 years, 15 years ago. So it was very, very nice to see this car racing again on the biggest international stage of endurance racing. And that's the beauty of endurance. You can see so many nice cars doing the same race at the same moment. That's the uniqueness of the world of endurance, and I believe you agree with me on that. Still 17.5 minutes to go in the 1 hour endurance race here on Slovakia Ring, within the Slovakian Grand Prix, within the FIA Central European Zone Championship. And again, Miro Konopka in the spotlight. The gap between him and the Ligier number 10 is even larger. More than 13 seconds between him and second place. More than 15 seconds between Konopka and Ligier in third. So this is more and more promising for Miro Konopka, as he wants to win in front of his home crowd. Not only for the fans, but also for the family and friends. It is the Grand Prix of Slovakia, which means Miro Konopka has so many guests, so many partners, so many good pals here on site to be present and to be supportive, not only for him but for the whole team ARC Bratislava, and also for his son Adam leading the race in the GTX class. Nothing has changed. Adam Konopka still in the lead of GTX, 35 seconds behind his father in P4 overall. This looks really, really good for Adam Konopka. So again, it could be double victory for ARC Bratislava, just like in the sprint race earlier today. Meanwhile, in the GT3 class, finally we do have both cars together, which means the BMW in the overall standings is being followed by the Mercedes-AMG GT3, entered by the Polish squad 4F PTT, the crew of Przemysław Bienkowski and Mateusz Lisowski. It is P5 and P6 respectively in the overall standings, but I don't think that we are going to see a battle of those GT3 cars for the class win, as the gap is actually too large for the last 15 minutes of the race. Almost 10 seconds between BMW M6 GT3 and the Mercedes AMG GT3. So those GT3 cars are following each other, are there on the track. One behind the other, but even though Mercedes has a stronger pace right now, I believe 9.7 seconds is just too much for the 14 minutes. But let's wait and see. I mean, anything can happen, of course. Still, it's possible to have a safety car or something else could happen. So also this fight for the GT3 class win is still possible. No other cars between those two GT3 specials. That's the most important thing. And again, that was the Ligier in Breton Racing colors, entered by the Polish squad of Aquaflame Racing. But most likely nothing is going to happen here between those cars. Again, the gaps are just too big between the top 3 cars of the race and also of the D5 class. Well, take a look again at the GT3 standings. Just a moment ago, the gap between BMW and Mercedes was almost 10 seconds, but right now it's 3.1 seconds. So I'm wondering what's going on there with the BMW M6 GT3. Denis Waszek should be behind the wheel, because we were talking to Denis on the starting grid and he told us that he's going to replace Jesse Krohn at halfway. Of course, Jesse Krohn did an amazing job. We did not expect anything else from him. But now it seems to me that maybe Denis Waszek is a bit struggling with the pace. Maybe he made a mistake, maybe there was a trouble in the traffic for him, which only means that the gap is being reduced to 1 second right now. So where are those cars actually? We want to see the battle for the GT3 class win between Denis Waszek and the Mercedes AMG. Those are the other cars in GTC class, both Porsche 911 GTC. By the way, this weekend we also have Porsche Super Cup in Zandvoort, which is being included in the Dutch Formula 1 Grand Prix. So a lot of Porsche Cup cars is racing this weekend, and this is actually a nice battle. It's number 2 and number 8 fighting each other in a position. But I'm not sure if that was a fight for a place. But now we do have number 91 off the track in the gravel zone, but the driver is back on the track, so no need for a safety car here. This was another dramatic moment for one of those cup cars, but we are still racing without any interruption. So good news for the fans, good news also for the drivers. I'm not sure if that battle was a battle for position actually, because I believe there was a gap of 1 lap between those cars. But anyway, it was good to see those two Porsche Cup cars so close to each other. And I have some breaking news from the GT3 class. The Polish Mercedes is up there in the front, which means Denis Waszek lost the first place behind the wheel of the M6 GT3. Of course, it was a tough job for Denis, as he is driving much older BMW M6 GT3. But anyway, it happened actually. So good job to the Polish team 4F PTT, as the Mercedes AMG GT3 is just going after the win in a GT3 class. So a few moments ago there was an overtaking maneuver on the racetrack for the race lead in GT3 class, and the new car in the lead is Mercedes-AMG GT3 number 1 of the crew, Przemysław Bienkowski and Mateusz Lisowski. So good job and big kudos to this Polish squad. It's a good race from them and most likely a race win in GT3 class, because the Polish driver behind the wheel is pulling away quickly. The gap is already bigger than 11 seconds between Mercedes and BMW, so Mercedes has much better race pace in the closing stages of the 1 hour endurance here on Slovakia Ring. 8 minutes to go as the sun goes down above Slovakia Ring, and we can check on the standings in GTC class right now. The leader of GTC is Robert Lucák Mladší, the son of Robert Lucák, the much appreciated businessman actually, who runs his own company producing various tools for the pit facility. So very important guy for international racing actually, and his son is in the lead of GTC class with 7.5 minutes to go behind the wheel of the number 92 or 992 shall I say, Porsche 911 Cup. So this is going to be most likely a win for Robert Lucák Mladší, who only takes part in the endurance race. So this is the most important moment of the race weekend for the team and for Robert Lucák Mladší. And I believe he is in a pretty safe position, because between him and the other car in GTC class are the other 4 cars. So this is very safe position right now for Robert Lucák Mladší. Plus we do have a great battle between Filip Zagorski behind the other Porsche and the other 2 cars for the win in Porsche 4F Cup. That's the Polish Cup for GTC cars. And there are only seconds between those top 3 drivers. Right now, it's a fight between numbers 81, 2 and 15 actually. As I said, Filip Zagorski, the race leader in Porsche 4F Cup. Behind him is the crew of Tomáš Lach and Katarzyna Balavéder. And in 3rd place it is Piotr Poboda and Maciej Bernarczyk. So we have a large field of GTC Cup cars, also thanks to the Polish racing scene and the Polish Porsche 4F Cup class. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us here for the race weekend here on Slovakia Ring, as you are helping us to make this racing field even bigger, even larger, which is great news not only for the fans but also for the racing drivers, because everybody wants to see a competition, everybody wants to see a competitive field, and that's the case here on Slovakia Ring. Well, we have a major drama with 3.5 minutes to go. A lot of white smoke is coming off that BMW. So let's hope that we don't have any fluids on the track, otherwise it could be a very dangerous situation for the closing stages of the race. Well, only 3 minutes to go, only 3 minutes remain on the clock. Of course, we do have a double yellow and possibly also safety car will be deployed. I believe that is going to be the case because I saw the race marshal showing the board with SC. Yes, here it is. So safety car is deployed for the final stages of the race. Safety car on track because there was a major problem, major drama with that older BMW. And you can see the white smoke going off the track. It is the area of the first corner at the end of the main straight. And there are the guys with fire extinguishers. But I believe fortunately they are not needed right now, as we see no more white smoke coming off the car. So I believe there is no risk of fire at the moment. But it's a big shame for the team because of course you don't want to lose the most precious thing you possess, which is the race car. So yeah, again, suddenly out of nowhere a lot of white smoke came off the car. Blown up engine, maybe? I don't think I see any fluids on the track, but it's hard to judge from my commentary box. But anyway, I believe, and I'm more or less absolutely sure that the race is going to finish behind the safety car. This is basically the end of the race, ladies and gentlemen, with 50 seconds to go, safety car being deployed. The Toyota Supra is leading the way with yellow lights on. So the safety car is on track for the major drama at the end of the main straight of Slovakia Ring, and the race is going to end under the yellow. Unfortunate way how to end the race, of course, but it is quite necessary in given circumstances. Which means we are going to celebrate our race winners in a few moments. So plenty of drivers were allowed to do a pass around, and right now it is how it should be, which means Miro Konopka is the first driver behind the safety car, and Miro Konopka, ladies and gentlemen, is going to celebrate his home win in the endurance race. That was the goal. That's the most important, most crucial thing for Miro Konopka and his team ARC Bratislava, as they are going to win the race, to win the endurance race within the race weekend of Slovakian Grand Prix here on Slovakia Ring. Miro Konopka, again, he did a solo drive, 1 hour long racing stint in race pace in high temperatures. But Miro Konopka, he did it again. So next time around, I believe we shall see the checkered flag being shown to Miro Konopka, and the celebrations in the paddock will begin. I mean, it's always great to walk down the paddock after the races, after the sun goes down, after disappears behind the horizon, because suddenly you just see another racing paddock. The pressure is gone, and the people of motorsport are just having fun, talking to each other, chatting with each other, having a good drink, possibly something good to eat, and debriefing in a very friendly way the day that just passed away. And that is what we are going to see here on Slovakia Ring as well in a few moments, just after this race. Of course, if you are joining us live on site, if you are watching us from the grandstand, you are more than welcome to see the podium ceremony after the 1 hour endurance race, which is going to take place just next to the main grandstand above the pit lane here on Slovakia Ring. And I believe that mostly Slovakian fans will take this chance because they will have a great chance of celebrating their home hero here in Slovakia. So at last, this is going to be one more lap. At last, one more lap behind the safety car as time is up. So this should be the final lap of the race. The fourth race of the endurance season, because the GT cars did not race on Grobnik in Croatia this season because there were some bad weather concerns, so the races for GT Cup Series has been cancelled in Croatia. So this is actually the fourth race weekend. Oh no, there is a problem to Norma! There is a problem for Norma of Petr Kokola and Václav Janík. So at the very last moment of the race there is some technical issue which forced to stop this beautiful Norma in those iconic colors of Janík Motorsport. Oh no, that's a shame. Well, fortunately Janík Motorsport car was not fighting for the podium in D5. This is Václav Janík, I believe, the team boss himself. So Václav Janík and Petr Kokola, they were not fighting for the podium in D5 class, so it's not so painful. But anyway, when you take a part in endurance race 1 hour long, you just want to finish, you just want to cross the finish line, you want to take the checkered flag, and those guys were just denied. And that is always harsh. So I believe I'm gonna meet Václav Janík again in the paddock, so we can have a chat about what the issue was. But anyway, I believe they completed most of the race, so they shall be classified anyway, just without the feeling of taking the checkered flag. And that's not the rewarding feeling you raced for. I believe you understand me. So only 2 more races after Slovakia Ring. The season will go on in Brno, Czechia, during the second weekend in September, and then the big final showdown on Hungaroring. Well, the race has been also red flagged, which seems almost pointless to me as the race comes to an end, but that's the decision from the race control. You know, it's a bit confusing to me because I was expecting just taking the checkered flag behind a safety car. We would be pretty much surprised if we were given one more green lap after the red flag, but I don't think that's the case. This is not Formula 1 actually. Yes, still making jokes of that Australian Grand Prix a few years ago, but yes, the cars are back in the pit lane and entering the Parc Fermé, which means this is the end of the race. So thank you so much for joining us, and we can do the final recap of the standings. Miro Konopka won the race in D5 class, so it's another great win for Miro Konopka, for the home hero on the home soil. And we have all Ligier podium in D5 class. Miro Konopka won it, just ahead cars 10 and 33 entered by Aquaflame Racing. Adam Konopka, son of Miro, won the race in GTX class behind the wheel of his Lamborghini Huracan GT3. Then it is the crew of Przemysław Bieloński and Mateusz Lisowski sharing the duties behind the wheel of Mercedes-AMG GT3, winning the GT3 class just ahead of Denis Vashek and Jesse Krohn sharing the BMW M6 GT3. Then number 40 Porsche won the Porsche 4F Cup. And in GTX class, second place goes to Viktor Bras and Jaroslav Honzik. They're just ahead of Tomáš Miniberger and Dan Skalický and Robert Lucák-mladší, winning the GTC class. So congratulations to Robert Lucák-mladší, because according to the live timing, he should be the winner in GTC class. In a GT4, the race winner this time is Jan Wojtko, just ahead of car number 9. The GT4 Club Sport shared by Piotr Szukalski and Christopher Zöchling. In D4 3500, the winners are Artur Paziewski and Amuno Pelete with number 67. In the DCX class, the winner is Radoslav Obertal with number 69. And in D4 3500, the winners are actually there, yes. So this is correct as I speak about. So after all, 35 cars are classified in the standings. So this was the endurance race of the GT Cup Series here on Slovakia Ring, and the GT Cup Series will go on tomorrow with the second sprint race. Thank you so much for joining us today.